H and welcome back to the channel for another game review. Lately, I've been playing a lot of new games and reviewing them, and I've been having a blast, so I thought today I would continue that streak with another game review. Today, I'm reviewing Burger Bistro Story, and I'm super excited about it, so let's jump right in. To start with, I want to discuss what Burger Bistro Story is and what the kind of plot of the game is, as well as some other things. So, Burger Bistro Story is available on mobile, PC, as well as consoles. It was originally a mobile game, from what I can tell, in 2021, before coming to Steam in 2023, and then eventually the consoles of PlayStation and Xbox in 2022 and 2024, respectively. It's described as a restaurant management sim on the wiki that they have for it, where you manage your own diner and create recipes, and it costs about $8.99 in the US on Steam. Now, the reviews on Steam are 9 out of 10, so it's very positive, and it's been reviewed 173 times, with only 3 reviews of those being negative, so I would say that's a pretty good ratio. The top reviews say that it's one of the company's best games and that they thoroughly enjoy the relaxing aspect of the game, which I think is a pretty good standing for 170 people to all agree on. The negative reviews aren't terribly in-depth except for one, which states that the game requires you to expand too fast and you run out of burger tokens, which is a currency in the game, similarly to how in Sims you have simoleons or in Stardew you have grams. A little bit too fast, which I tend to agree with. The burger tokens were difficult to obtain and you run out of them entirely too quickly, which I'll be discussing a little bit more in depth later on in the review. So as for my personal thoughts, I will say that the tutorial portion of the game seemed to take a while. In fact, I'm not really sure if I got out of it at any point. Which, since I'm not someone who's a big fan of tutorials in general, and felt this game didn't really need that much of an explanation of how to run things, it was a little bit annoying at times, although there were some times where I felt like it was, whereas there were certain aspects of the game that I felt like did need explanation, or there were even a couple different aspects where I felt like it needed more explanation than the game actually gave. So for instance, one of the things that I felt like they gave too much explanation on was the research and the cooking. So you can research in this game and get new and different recipes, like for tables and different things to go in your little diner. But they explained it a little bit too thoroughly, if that's possible, and I didn't really feel like it was entirely that necessary for it. Whereas with the customers, they didn't really explain how you identify what food they like the best that well. They just said oh, give them a recipe and see if they like it. But really, I found it was a lot more difficult than that, because some of them would say, for instance, that they wanted a burger fresh off the grill was one of the things that one of my customers wanted. And I picked out the hottest food we had that was the most warm, and that seemed to work well. But then when I tried to use the same concept for another customer, they said they wanted something with the most flavor, so I gave them our most flavorful burger, which was a fish and lettuce and hamburger meat burger thing that I made, which was honestly really disgusting, and I can't believe it actually did well, but that's besides the point. When I gave that to them, they didn't actually like it, and it wasn't their preferred burger. And I was like, but you said you wanted something that tastes really strongly, so I'm a little bit confused. They never really explained how to give the best burger to the best customer, which is something I feel like they probably should have explained a little better, especially considering how thoroughly they were explaining everything else. In addition to the point that the negative review made about the burger tokens running out too quickly and being too difficult to obtain, I also want to point out that the hearts that they require that you earn are also a difficult currency to obtain as well, because those hearts are what you use, I believe, for just getting the customers to come into your bistro. So one of the customers that I was trying to convince to eat one of my burgers to see if they would like it and if I could figure out what type of customer they were. I couldn't actually convince to come inside because they required 8 hearts, and I only had 4 at the moment, which, as you might imagine, was a pretty disappointing realization, and it was also kind of annoying because I didn't have enough time left in the day to earn enough hearts to be able to convince them to come inside before I had to close. And then I'm not sure if they were going to come back the next day or not because that was actually the last day I played. So it might actually take me quite a few days to earn enough hearts to even be able to convince them to come inside. And that's saying that they happened to walk by again and I noticed. However, on a more positive note, I also really loved the look and feel of the game. The pixel graphics is one of my favorite art styles, which you guys might already know for some of my other game reviews, and I feel like the simplicity of the game would really be relaxing for a chill gaming day. Also, just the idea of running your own little bistro is adorable, and I think if I was able to get into the decorating the place more, I would definitely enjoy it a lot more. As you guys know, I'm a big decorator fan, and if any game gives me the option to decorate a place, I leap at the chance. That being said, it does remind me a little bit of Traveler's Rest, which is the game I've played and reviewed here on the channel, as well as streamed over on my Twitch. With the way that you manage the restaurants, although it does lack the detail of being able to gather resources on your own, and it's very much as a management simulator, slightly more similar to how I've seen people play Supermarket Simulator, if you've seen any of that footage from other people, or if you've played it yourself. Whereas Traveler's Rest is a bit more Stardew Valley-like. My favorite part about this game, however, is the cooking, because personally I love making new recipes, although the personalization the game offers with naming your bistro and the new recipes you make is a close second. My least favorite aspect is definitely just the time required to successfully run a chain of restaurants in this game, but some honorable mentions for my favorite part about the game is the differences in customers. So, for instance, based off of their likes and preferences, you can recommend them different dishes, and depending on how they feel about the dish and its aroma, its taste, and the heat of the dish, and how it suits their preferences, like for instance, I recommended a regular meat burger to someone who said that they wanted a warm dish that was fresh off of the grill, and they didn't really like it that much. The satisfaction score was only 70 out of 100, but then I recommended them the lettuce and cucumber, I believe, burger, and they really loved that. It was 100 out of 100 satisfaction, and I unlocked a new businessman class type for customers, and it gave me a whole other class to research my new recipes with, which is another honorable mention for this. So the cooking, my favorite aspect other than just making new recipes up and kind of having fun with that and naming them wacky things, was just the aspect that you got to test it out on other types of customers. So it gave you 4 slots for 4 different types of customers you could test it out on based off of, I suppose, their preferences. So like if they liked something hot or flavorful, you could test it on different people and see how they reacted. So that was pretty interesting. I really liked the fact that it was really giving the vibe that you were actually running a restaurant in that aspect, and like you were testing the dishes out on a wide variety of people to make sure it was going to be well received. And I really liked that little attention to detail there, and I think honestly it was one of my favorite parts of the game, but it just didn't quite make the list. But if I had a third favorite thing, this would probably be it. I normally rate games on a 5-star scale system, and this game I would say is a 3.5 stars out of 5. There's nothing super wrong with this game, it's more just personal preference and taste, as well as my dislike for the length of time you'd have to put in to get the supplies you'd need to have a successful chain. For a game like this one that gives the appearance of being a chill game you want to play for an hour or two, the duration of time that you spend just sitting there watching the customers come in and out and the employees work is just a little much. There's nothing wrong with making the game challenging, but the way that this one went about it with requiring you to spend a lot of time getting the tokens and such, it's just not to my liking, and it heavily results in my rating being a bit lower than you might expect from my general review. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I felt like it's too time consuming for its general nature, I would have rated it probably a 4.5. There's really nothing else, like I said, that I don't like about the game. It's more just the length of time that it takes you to get everything. And personally, that's really the only negative in my opinion, which is why it gets this rating. Although I will say that the price is only $9-ish in the US, so that does even out a few of the quirks that this game has, because it is a lot more fun than a good portion of the other cheap games that are out there. It just also isn't more fun than some other games in general, and I would almost be willing to save up from the $10 required to buy this game in the US to get Traveler's Rest, because like I said, it is similar to it, and it's honestly like a better, more in-depth version, but that's just me and my personal opinion. All in all, it is a cute game that I would recommend to any players watching who enjoy management sims, but don't want to spend a lot of money buying a more expensive and a little bit possibly nicer game. I don't know if I'll play it again myself, but it was definitely a fun experience to test out this game, and I did enjoy this little game review. So if you guys enjoyed and want to see more reviews like this one, then leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!